Big news for the Chiefs continues to be the status of tight end Travis Kelce, who's also woefully underpaid at half of the top of the market for receivers and just below by a couple of million the top tight end pay. Kelce has the knee issue that happened on Tuesday at practice. He's officially questionable for the game, which means
we'll
nothing.
see.
Right.
We'll see how he feels today.
Everybody's questionable.
Right.
They don't use doubtful as much as they should. Doubtful technically is anything below 49%, gotcha. 49 or below.
Right.
So questionable is a huge gulf of 50-50 all the way up to 99.
Right.
Questionable.
Right.
So they throw the questionable label out there, and we'll find out 90 minutes before kickoff. They plan to put him through a workout this morning to test the knee. That's according to NFL media. And he has not missed a game due to injury. I looked this up yesterday. We were talking about it during the show. He missed almost all of his rookie season due to a knee problem. Starting in 2014, he has not missed a game due to injury. He had one COVID absence and 2 games where we don't need our starters.
Yeah.
No injury absences. And we get the feeling he's going to do everything that he possibly can to be out there and play.
Yeah.
Even if he is somewhat impaired or limited, he's not going to miss this game. And they've got, as you were saying yesterday, they've got that break on the back end before the Jacksonville game where they can kind of reassess where things are.
Yeah, exactly right. I don't have confirmation here. I know you and I talked about this a lot yesterday when we were kind of doing our rehearsal at the stadium. I did get a note from somebody that's pretty close to the situation that kind of told me, hey, he's going to try to play. And the thought was that he's going to try to play. It's the first game of the year, and he's got 10 days on the back end to try to, get it healthy. But it's going to be about, how stable does it feel? Can you move? Can you cut? Can you do those things to separate from a safety or a linebacker? But knowing the psycho in which he is and the family of psychos that he comes from, and I'm saying that about him and his brother, not his mom. His mom's awesome. But he's a football player. And I think he loves this moment, and he's a showman like you've talked about a little bit just to start the show. I think with, Saturday Night Live, commercials. He loves the big moment. So that's where I feel like Travis Kelce will 100% give it his all to try to play tonight. And honestly, I expect him to be there. I would be more shocked if we're at the pregame and they tell us Travis Kelce's not playing than I would be if they went, there he is. He's out there. He's in uniform. I expect to see him.
You mentioned Jason Kelce, the Eagles center and the brother of Travis. Here he is from yesterday with his own thoughts, his own insight on whether or not Travis will suit up and play.
I know he's got some swelling going on, but it sounds like as long as they can get that down, he's going to have a chance to go. The ligaments and everything are intact structurally. From what we know right now, his knee's fine. So really it's about getting that swelling down and then seeing how bruised that bone is. Because, if you guys have ever had those, they can be pretty painful, especially if it's in a spot that's rubbing all the time. And that can kind of shut down your muscles and do other things. But I think he's going to be good to go. I really do.
It's funny because it was Jason Kelce who said yesterday that it's a bone bruise. And the problems back in 2013 began as a bone bruise. Now, I don't know if it's the same knee or not. That's the one thing I've yet to be able to nail down, and I've not seen anyone report whether it's the same knee that he had an issue with in 2013. But in 2013, he had a bone bruise, and they saw that there was a spot where there was no cartilage. I found the article yesterday because we were talking about microfracture surgery, and that used to be the kiss of death, microfracture surgery, this experimental thing that didn't work far more often than not. But they found a spot where there was no cartilage that was creating that pain. He could run, but when it was time to make cuts and things moved around, that created him discomfort.
Right.
And I hear what Jason Kelce just said about rubbing, and it just makes me wonder, if it's the same knee, has, the microfracture surgery had a 10-year shelf life?
Yeah, sure.
Or is it the same structure of the way his knee's put together in the other knee? But it gives me some degree of alarm that maybe there's something more going on here than just a hyperextension. If you're talking about areas that are rubbing bone on bone, and that's no good if that's the case.
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, it's definitely something to watch out for, I think, as the whole season plays out here now that this is on our radar. And he's a little different than, a lot of tight ends too, where, hey, I mean, you watch football. Everybody out there watches football. Tight ends, don't always run the most intricate routes in the world. And what I mean by that is, hey, there's 2 safeties in the middle. They just run right down the middle of them. Or they run 10 yards up and make a right turn, at the line, right? That's what they do. But Travis Kelce, to what you said a second ago, he's a little bit more receiver-like. I mean, how many times do we see Kelce run in like he's going to run a shallow cross, jam on the brakes, come back out, and then Patrick Mahomes hit him? How about he fakes like he's going to run the shallow cross, he jams on the brakes, fakes he's going to come back out, and then goes and continues the shallow cross? His game is a little bit more about cutting than most tight ends, and that's where I'll be interested to see if we see him on the field in pregame tonight, how effective he is in that department, because he is so important in that area where they try to design a play. Hey, it's Kadarius Toney in a 20-yard in cut, and maybe somebody else going over the top of him, and then the third option is Kelce running one of those routes I'm talking about underneath, where, okay, by the time he makes a move and on that guy there, now it's Mahomes is ready to throw to him, and it's a big part of their offense, let alone the scramble drills we always see and how he moves in that element there. So be interesting to see, but yeah, like I think his brother is saying and like I'm saying, I'm expecting to see him out there.
We also can't rule out the possibility he'll be a decoy. We can't rule that out.
Sure.
That let's just put him out there and have the Lions think he's going to be the guy he always is,
right,
and devote extra attention to him, and the Chiefs get an early touchdown thanks to the fact that the Lions have taken the cheese, and they're covering Travis Kelce as if he's going to be the guy that he always is.
Right.
And if you use that judiciously, and if you use that, not to the extent where you aggravate the situation and make, whatever it is, that's the risk. That he's going to go out there and he's going to make it worse. That's the reason to tap the brakes on this and give him the night off. What is the chance that it's going to be worse? Remember, that was the constant conversation last year with Lamar Jackson late in the year. Some thought he could come back and play, and he's not going to make his PCL injury in his knee any worse. How much worse? What's the risk here? What percentage, on one hand, of a problem that's going to potentially linger if he plays? How do we factor that into this final decision? And when you've got a guy who is determined to play, I want to play, I'm going to play, that's where you need the adult in the room and Andy Reid to be able to stand up and say, hey, Trav, just like what we saw on the sidelines when Patrick Mahomes suffered the ankle injury here in Kansas City against the Jaguars and it played out in the quarterback series. You kind of need to let the guy vent. You need to let him go through the process. And you kind of need to let him come to the conclusion on his own. Maybe all this is just window dressing aimed at allowing Travis Kelce to realize, you know what? You guys are right. It's a long season. I don't want to get so caught up in this first game. Everybody's watching. It's a big deal. We're raising the banner, but it's still just one game. It's not a playoff game. We can lose this week and still be fine.
That's right.
You don't need me this week to win, potentially.
Agreed.
And it may just be all this stuff. He's going to test it out this morning, the stuff you're hearing. It's just Travis Kelce working through, I want to play. You know what? I probably shouldn't play.
Yeah, well.
So that's possible as well.
It definitely is possible. I think it goes back to a little bit what, you were talking about a few minutes ago, just and we were hitting on the Chiefs. It's a little bit of how they empower their players. They don't just, draw a line in the concrete and go, nope, that's it. You can't cross it, right? So
the concrete would be wet. Haven't we had this conversation
but
before?
some point it gets hard, and then you can never cross it.
But you can't draw the line in the concrete once it's hard.
You drew it wet, but then it's hard after that. You got it? I don't know. Don't try to make sense of me, man. Come on. But either way, I hear what you're saying. And I don't think even today, if they have an early morning workout, things can change by the time it gets to 7 o'clock tonight. And it's pregame time, and it's time to run out and do that too. So it's a dicey situation, and I'm always erring on the big picture, like you said. We discussed this in the van a little yesterday. It's one of the things I always respected about being with the New England Patriots in my time there and watching Bill Belichick work, right? We'd see certain guys, and I'd go, ooh, Gronk's been hurt for a few weeks. Oh, hey, Gronk's back this week. Man, he had a good week of practice. He's going to be tough to stop this week, Sunday during the game. And then we get to Friday, and I'd hear from the coaches, oh, no, he's not playing. Bill wants him to have another week of practice, get used to the movements again, get back into football shape. He doesn't want to just throw him out there, to your point, and then we miss him again and we don't have him for 8 more weeks. So that's why Andy Reid, that medical staff get paid a bunch of money, and they're going to have to figure out what's right by Kelce and the team.
I remember that year he was coming back from like the arm that was fractured and repaired, and when's he going to play?
Oh, right.
And there was almost a sense that it was him, not the team, but this is Belichick making sure the guy's ready, because you got to think about the long haul. You'd rather have Travis Kelce in January than September, and we'll see how it plays out over the course of the day, whether or not we see him tonight. We both kind of have this sense he's going to be there in some capacity, but we can't overlook the possibility that this is just Travis Kelce being given the breadth and the opportunity to come to the conclusion on his own. The mature adult conclusion, I shouldn't do this. So it isn't Andy Reid telling him no and he's pissed off about it. He comes to that conclusion on his own.
Yeah, he'll know. And,
if that's where they're trying to push this thing.
And I mean, I'm sure they want him to play. We know he's probably a big part of the game plan, right? On the X's and O's department too. Hey, we discussed a little yesterday about if he doesn't play. Okay, it stinks that he doesn't play. We know how good he is, but then it's also going to bring an element of like Detroit is not going to know what to expect from the Kansas City Chiefs offense if that happens. I think there is that. But at the same time, I want to see the Chiefs at their best, because I want to see this new Detroit defense and see them challenged and get a gauge of where they are and who they are. They were the worst defense in football last year. They couldn't cover Jack Diddley's squat in anything. Right? They don't, other than Aiden Hutchinson, there's no other pass rusher we can talk of as of right now to go, ooh, he's going to be in Mahomes' face all night long. One guy ain't going to get it done against the Chiefs. So this secondary, they got a test. We know they got C.J. Gardner-Johnson, right? They gave Cameron Sutton a bunch of money. They drafted Brian Branch in the second round out of Alabama. They drafted Jack Campbell in the middle, who you would think would be the perfect guy, linebacker, to match up with Travis Kelce a little bit and all that. So as a football guy and selfishness, I want to see that matchup, one, because I want to see Kelce and Mahomes, but two, I want to see what this new Detroit Lions defense has to offer and what they're going to look like.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.